I don't know if you know where this video is going, but let's give it a whirl. So this morning we went to the gym as usual with Lucky Champ. We tie them in some spot, each of them different sides, and they sit there and just be on guard. They just stay on guard. This morning I switched Lucky's leash into a longer one because I thought that he would be happier to have much more freedom to move somewhere away from that spot. But he could also come in the garage and go to the other side. But I was surprised that he didn't run, he didn't explore, and he didn't even test the edges. He just stayed in place. And even though there was more available space for him, he didn't know what to do with himself. That got me thinking, is this how people who have been so used to accepting or tolerating or been conditioned to accept small scale dreams and opportunities think and feel? Because a lot of the people I've known in the past share a limiting belief with me back then, a limiting belief to which I've already shed, but I can still see it evident in some of the people that I'm connected to, and that's through no fault of their own. It was instilled upon them and they've accepted it as fact because they haven't seen anyone model the possibilities. They long, they desire, and when they have the chance to actually live out that desire or longing, they either retreat or they just stay in place because they don't actually know what to do with it, since they never thought that the opportunity would actually present itself. So in that sense, if they never thought that it was ever gonna happen, what was that longing, desire on display? Could it be coping mechanism? Because it was their way of dealing with their present situation. When you've spent years adapting to a short leash, your mind adjusts to that radius. You stop imagining beyond it. And you desire expansion, but you don't rehearse it. What if we live in a mansion? What if we win the lottery? But then they don't think like, this is how I'm gonna behave once I have the mansion. This is what I'm gonna behave when I win the lottery. So that when it's like, preparing the stage for your performance. Once it actually happens, you know what to do. So in their case, when the opportunity presents itself and their leash actually gets longer, they freeze because they never truly believed that it would happen. They failed to build the internal permission to move when it arrived, and that's a different thing. Desire can sometimes be comfort. It gives you something to look forward to. It keeps hope alive. It makes the satisfaction feel a little tolerable, but it doesn't require action. What actually requires action is an identity shift. Now, if I say I want freedom, that's easy. Talk is cheap. Words mean nothing without follow through. But then if freedom shows up and I now have to make decisions without excuses, without constraints, without someone else to blame, I can see how that's terrifying. Because when the leash is short, you can always say, I can't. But when the leash has expanded and you still don't move, now what's the excuse? And that's when I started wondering, were they truly desiring the thing? Or were they using desire to emotionally survive where they are? If you truly believe something can happen, wouldn't you at least think far enough ahead to imagine what you do with it? Wouldn't you give yourself permission in advance? Or do we secretly keep our dreams at a safe distance so we never actually have to confront the responsibility of them becoming real? So I guess, I can understand why some people retreat when the opportunity finally arrives. It's not always because they don't want it. It's just people don't know how to occupy the desire that they've been longing for when it finally arrives. They have lived so long inside containment that expansion feels destabilizing. When the leash is longer but the mind is still short, and the real work isn't just asking for more space, the real work is expanding internally. So when the space appears, you actually know how to step into it. Otherwise, you'll just stay in the same spot, in the same circle, within the same limitations. Not because you're incapable, but because you never practiced being bigger than your boundary. How about that? Something to think about.